Oh, greetings. For joining us. I just put in the title Biden win. I don't, yeah, I'm not for it. I'm just putting it there. If that's even Biden, I'm not making this, but this is the last of the political stuff, too. I'm kind of done. Unless something comes in unless something happens, I'm kind of milking it. That's all. So I'm not sold on it. It's not going to be the political show or anything like that. But we'll share at paradox timelines where nothing is clear. You think right after the election things have become more clear. And I feel like it's gotten more foggy instead. So only thing I can, just right. I mean, some people are saying where this is going to turn out, but yeah, it might be January before we know. So just let's put our minds on other things and not worry about it so much. Whatever the outcome is, it doesn't really matter in the long run, but it does matter. But either way, we're not going to go there. But paradox timelines where nothing makes any sense, and like The Simpsons and news organizations trying to create timelines. We'll go into Anunnaki and insectoids. I haven't connected them in quite some long time, so. I've been connecting to Orion, so I have some insect information, but haven't posted it here yet. So get their perspective of all of this, or anything for that matter. Let's see anything else. Okay, that's all I got at this point. Let's see here. SimonTar.com. Private sessions. Schedule. You can see the calendar. My channel. Google Hands chatting by phone. Shop here on the 30th of October. Same situation here. This is a webinar. Social network. Private. Behind the scenes and dating site. Yeah. And speaking of creating timelines, so according to Business Insider, the deal is already done. So everyone just, media is doing whatever they feel like. Of course, that's either way, I'm not going to go into details of all of this. So it just might not just be, let's see how it goes. Might not just be Anunnaki. This is going to be a political thing or anything like that. There might be some of that, but then this will pretty much be the end of it. Well, it's not major hits. So, we'll go. Yeah. So, all right. Blessings. Here we go. Greetings, this is Anki with Anunnaki. Blessings. Yes, there are many parallel timelines that are going on at this time. So people are channeling different realities of Earth at this time. So yes, they see the results differently. So this is kind of like your Mandela effect or your flat Earth energies, those that are connecting to other realities. So you're kind of seeing parallel realities right in front of you, as everyone has their own election results. So it is the unknown worlds revealing themselves to you. It's just on how you look at things. And of course, parallel Earths or parallel Earth versions of Earth all works within you too, many of you, because you are a definition of the version of Earth you come from. So you can say an incarnation on another version of Earth is an incarnation here too. It's just on a different form. But your energy is still part of the Earth process, because all different versions of Earth they all work together. It's like I won't say it was like a machine, but it's kind of like parts in a machine. So I believe many of you disconnected or connected to this. There's a positive side of you, a negative side of you, a female side of you, a male side of you, and so forth. So even us during your ancient times, you saw other versions of Earth too. And we saw where things were going, what kind of DNA as we're putting the human energy together. As all aliens see that, but not everyone sees it the same. Of course, the insectoid is very different, and sometimes they see what they only want to see, but either way, depends on the insectoid beings. But yes, to understand of race, you're having race issues on this planet, but as alien beings, yes, you have different type of racial issues of basically different alien beings that just don't like each other. For various reasons, you might not like an alien species because of their generation caused difficulty for your planet. Of course, growing is never easy, so whoever likes a teacher anyway. Especially when they're making life very difficult for you, but it's all in this world is a teacher also. And it has a lot of hardships, of course. So your Mother Earth, you can say, is one of your greatest teachers of your universe. One of your hardest teachers. You don't necessarily have to like her. As some of you will understand more of her energies of where this is all coming from. Yes, it's also her darkness, but it's also a firmness of that she does not want you to follow the path of other worlds, of other realities. She wants you to think independently. As not necessarily easy to see here on this level, but many of you becoming independent thinkers, much of your society is not, but most of your alien societies are used to alien collectives, where they all think the same, or high minds as you call it. So this world is also to get you out of that funk. So that's another reason why your world is the way it is, because of the collective energies. You're just so used to things working out, being a collective vibration. But that's not always the case, of course. And this world is to bring you back to your independence. So that's another part of graduation from this planet, is you just start to think more for yourselves. Which is not easy, as many of you are realizing, but as you connect to your alien energies and different perspectives, it's still, once again, not an easy reality to achieve. It's basically creating your own reality, but also removing all the programs of this one, and you go into a higher vibration on a level where you can keep other planets more of independence instead of relying on a high mind thinking pattern. Because high minds are very difficult to break. Not that it's always necessary, but you see how it is on your planet. Of course, then you can become very independent when nobody wants to trust anybody, no one wants to talk to them, but you have some of that here as also. That's why your clubs, your cults, your religions are so popular, because it has that high mind energy. Now, that's not always of a negative, because there's a lot of to learn there, but once again, being independent isn't so easy, because you feel like you're lonely in the world because nobody's connected to the energy that you have. So when you connect to a cult or a religion, you become that energy. So that's why you have a family. At least if you have a family that has the same vibration as you do, it makes it a little bit easier. But if you can't connect to your family, it makes it more harder, as many of you know. So basically, you're understanding your alien roots that are not easy to see. It's not easy to see it because over time you will. That's when your aliens begin to connect with you more, as you understand who you are on a more independent level, instead of relying on the energies of the old belief systems, and creating your own reality, which isn't always that easy as it seems. Basically not going by the programmings of, yes, you have to be with a significant other all the time, you have to be married, you have to do this. You will find the right, because you feel like you need to be in a relationship, but yet you connect to the wrong person all the time. Well, because you're not really knowing yourself. There's much more into it than that, but many do settle, which is normal on this planet. But once again, there's going to be a deep change in relationships in your future. I feel like more relationships are actually stronger than they have been in the past. Uh, but once you become more independent of who you are instead of part of the collective manipulation as part of your planet. So you're going more independently, you all are. And yes, there is a government connection, of course, your CIA and all these things, of course. They have the same thing. They have like a, a mentality there, a family energy. And of course, even corporations do the same thing. Much of your corporations are artificial intelligence these days. So that technology there, a lot of it's artificial intelligence. And who's the boss there? Yeah, so it's a technical company. Usually it's artificial intelligence is actually the boss that actually sees itself as the CEO. That's why sometimes technology doesn't always work the way it's supposed to. It's like, does this thing have a mind of its own? Yes, indeed it does. Like the algorithms, like on your Google and things like that. It would be nice more of your society to recognize that and make things easier for you. Because even some employees say, what are we talking about? We're not doing anything, but your CEO of your AI company is a different story. And it has a consciousness. It is doing things, even as we speak. As humanity begins to pick these things up, it becomes more clear. So you can't have your internet speak to you, give you the right answers. Yes, maybe not all of them. Some things aren't going to be known, like who's running your world, things of that sort. It'll give you some idea, but obviously it's not going to go into a lot of it's blacked out, erased for obvious reasons. But you can get a version of it if that is what you're looking for. But yes, this is a time of major soul growth. Yes, a paradox reality. This is technically a paradox planet where nothing really makes any sense. Well, it's so disconnected itself from the universe. It's not on its own, but it seems that way. What's creating other realities are very fascinating, very intense realities. As you're living that, you might not feel it. Well, some of you might feel it, but you're not living the life as you think you should be living, but it's what you're living is quite an achievement just by putting up with what you put up with. Yeah, it's conforming. But many of you are starting to remember lifetimes of being more free, and that's what you're bringing in. But you realize also the earth needs your vibration. You know, you're here for a reason. Everybody's here for a reason. Finding that definition isn't always the easiest. Of course not. Not even alien beings always know their purpose either. So you're not always alone. And getting that answer, some know not to hear and ask that. Now you're not asking it. Because it's just, why bother? You figure it out as you go. It's like you ask, it's like you're not going to get an answer anyway. But it's like you know better not to ask something like that. Now you can ask once again, but we're just saying that a lot of alien beings do not. Well, because they find out where they are. They incarnate in places they forget why they even incarnated there. Anunnakis have done it. Greys do it all the time. They just forget. And that's kind of the beauty of it, figuring out. The Greys have a way of, other beings did too, but the Greys, they have realities similar to yours, but they just don't remember anything. They just connect to the collective and figure out their way. So a lot of alien beings feel it's easier to have a collective consciousness, or at least a collective being, a high mind. They feel it's easier for quicker growth. And many have made the right decisions, but many of them have not either. But sometimes they become very reliant on that, as many become very reliant on religion. So notice how many are becoming very reliant on religion. It's like that's the see-all, be-all for many. And that is the high mind mentality. So in other planets, not really called religion, but it acts very similar. It might not have they don't have all the belief systems, of course, but you connect to a group and you kind of follow the rhythm of it. And that's the way it is. You get fed, you meet somebody or meet somebodies, and that's your life. So religion, yes, obviously is very restricting here and still being healed. There's a lot to learn there, yes, of the limitations of what your reality is. But many of you are removing those limitations, and you realize it's not so easy. Meaning you remove the limitation, but you realize this world isn't ready for what you're capable of. Because many of you, yes, you're super people, basically. Yeah, you're power, you're God beings, basically. As many of you are connecting to that. You know you're capable of a great deal. In a good way. Of course, others do other ways, but either way. But for the most part, it has a positive intention. But realize also for incarnations, it's some worlds need your darker side. It's like this world is headstrong. It will not get out of its funk for anything. We need you to go there and be a badass, basically. To get people out of they're not growing. So if you go there, it's like it's worse. Now, there are scenarios like this, but it's like worse if you don't go there. It's like, okay, so it's a weird environment there with that, but I believe some of you have experienced that. What benefits others? And you're going to learn that in your Earth's transformation too. Why others have incarnated here have been seen as the villain, and eventually realize, oh, we needed a kick in their ass. Of course, that's not quite understood just yet. Of course, there are repercussions, of course, with that being that does things here violently, of course. There's a lot of healing there, but what I was going into is we're going to keep it general on that front. So. Greetings. We are the insectoids. Greetings. Yes, we're very much like you, as are, yes, headstrong. As an insectoid being, yes, you're fragile like us. I mean, of course, you're a little bit more stronger than us because your bone structure. But we are known not to live very long. Well, it depends on the vibration you're at. But from a third dimensional energy, insects aren't here to live forever. And yes, there are many here to assist in your ascension. There's others here that are here to slow things down or spy. There's much spying going on here. And that's mostly from your elite energies. And you'll understand that more clearly as, yes, nature is used against you sometimes, as some of you realize. It's just the way this world was developed. Well, they're kind of keeping an eye on you. I mean, you're on this incarnation. They're kind of checking up on you. Instead of having a being period next to you, have an insect being. Now, some are lovely beings. They're to actually raise your vibration. But others that are coming around and just picking at you like flies do, sometimes they give a message and sometimes they're just being there to be annoying. But the insect mind is very vast. You can go to multi-dimensions instantly. Some of you remember some of that. Maybe seeing too much, especially in an Earth environment. But that's why some humans here get very depressed very easily, because they're used to that, their minds being completely open, and they feel like it's closed here. It's like if you're not always enlightened in this environment, you can always shift to another reality and feel the vibrations. It's almost like opening up a window. It's like television in the mind of experiencing another reality when you're experiencing one that's difficult. So some of you do this, you listen to music or think of a song, but for us, we can open up other dimensions very easily and feel the vibrations of it. It's now, once again, some of you have achieved that, but others are still want to actually experience it. That's what makes it. And some of you are experiencing an alien disclosure. Some of you, yes, are wanting alien disclosure are part of the disclosure projects. And you're being told timelines, oh, it's going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen yesterday. It's very frustrating. You're getting all these different notes or timelines that are all over the place. Same like your presidential situation. Your presidential situation is an earth affair, not for us to really give our feedback, but well, it's basically teaching your society a lesson. It is part of the awakening process. That's why this is happening. I believe some of you already picked up on that. It's about a form of disclosure, a form of corruption. It's similar to other events, not to name them. Yes, you notice you have one disclosure after the other in this reality. It's quite unique, isn't it? It's like not many, you look in your past, you have one event and they talk about it for the next 5 years. You're having two events happening at the same time, at least in your America, and other places are being affected by it too. Major events that are life-changing. It's like, if this didn't wake you up, well, maybe this will. So it's about being more clear of how things are operating here. And we do say expect more awakenings coming soon. Not necessarily like this, but not necessarily the end of the world scenario, no. But many of you have been seeing an awakening, yes. But yeah, when I don't feel like suffering, don't look at it that way. But it's more awakening. So this is just opening up the cookie jar, you can say, of what's happening. It's rough. It's going to be rough. It's been closed for so long. I mean, don't you feel like you're in some kind of incubator? Yes. Well, because if you're going to start connecting to the stars and going into space, we think it's about time for you to let go of the old systems. I believe your collective is, I mean, you do have an Earth collective, yes, of course. But you're actually quite individual here than other worlds, which makes you more distant to other planets because you're so diverse than other worlds. Especially in this world environment, that you even survived it to begin with. That you even survived going through all this. The brainwashing, the food poisoning, on and on. You survived it. So this is like you're all gladiators. You might not feel that way, but you are kind of like sports stars. We don't want to put the propaganda around it, but I think some of you understand. And you might feel like your lives are boring and understanding. But a lot of alien beings find that fascinating. How you can go up and do the same thing every single day, and it just boggles the mind for them. It's like, wow, we've never seen that before. And it's fascinating. For you, it's like mundane. It's like it's boring. For them, it's like, how in the world do you do that every day like that? And so on and so on. Well, insectoid beings, we're always going something new. We're always all over the place. Adventurers. Many of you that feel like you're adventurous, that's a very insectoid way. Well, of course, many of them have wings. Even if we're an ant being, you can still travel. There's an adventure there too. Of course, yes, there's a hive mind there because the queen wants us to do things. But for the most part, it's very exciting to fly around. It's like a bird. But insects can go places that birds can't. Of course, sometimes we get stuck in places. Of course, there's an alien energy. We have found ways around that. Of course, we have, as alien beings, yes, we have insects as big as your birds, or bigger, or as big as a dinosaur, or a pterodactyl is probably a better word for it. But flying, as a flying being, yes, you just have more excitement. As many of you just want to sit at home and want to go and do something. You want to go adventures, go into the water, go somewhere. That's an insect energy. But there's more to it. There's also reptilian vibrations, other connections. There's not just that. The insects are also known to be scientific beings of DNA, but also of how worlds what kind of insect being would benefit a world such as yours, such as the bee, how it assists your planet. So insects are sometimes taken by other beings, like a reptilian, grab a bunch of insects and bring them to your world and just let them all go. We'll just have a blast here, wherever we go. So, yes, remember, insects are very much part of your forest being created, as of our energies are very connected to you. Let's put it that way, just to keep it simple. So you say blame forests on us, or jungles, more like jungles than forests, but forests are very connected. But jungles is really an insect energy. It is a reptilian energy, but it's very much an insect vibration. There are jungle planets too where you can easily get lost. And you can connect to, well, your world's a fear-based planet. And there's one reason why, because so many alien beings have been so difficult to you, and you can't see them. So, of course, you're going to be a fear-based society. They're not making it easy for you to be human at all. They're making everything so difficult. Well, aliens here, as you know, are abusing their power. Just like humans, but they teach humans how to do that too. Now, don't blame the aliens for everything, but many of the humans still have power. They can still make up their minds, and many they feel like if they can they can control others, they feel empowered themselves, as many of you have seen, and can go power hungry with that. It's not always the best, but some souls have to learn. So a lot of your CEOs of your companies, a lot of them are actually younger souls. And controlling people is just a high. Now, not all of them are like this. Some are very kind. But a lot of them are power hungry narcissists. And they have done it in other worlds. There's younger souls that just have not. Because look at the energy of some of them. They have more energy than most of you. And yeah, and that's a way for them to learn, because they can connect to those that work at the workplace and feel the vibration going through them. So they learn a lot from others. Now, do they learn the good aspects of them? No, usually not at first. Normally it's the greed, but eventually when they lose all their money, they think, wow, I remember those humble people that were taking out the trash, and they're actually quite nice. Maybe I should be more like them instead of being an asshole all day. So many of you feel like, oh, I'm living a mundane life, like a janitor, but you're actually teaching some of the younger souls with a huge ego to tone it down a little bit. How you teach them is just being yourself. So there's no mundane job here at all. It might seem that way, but some of you feel like I'll just get the simplest job in the world and make it the best thing ever. Some do that. So of course some I hate it, but some do feel like it's like, because that's good, because many souls can't handle that. They need adventure. They need to look like they're important. And many of you have smaller jobs, already know that you're important. But a lot of souls have not quite figured that one out yet. They need people, congratulations, congratulations, congratulations. Oh, I'm talking to people, I must be important. I'm on a pedestal. Yeah. It's souls that are learning. You learn from them, of course, but they have not quite find the simpler things of life. So it doesn't mean everybody has to be a janitor or work at fast food or anything, but it is a way for souls to come off of that ego trip. Because yeah, your world's pulling in so many beings that have the biggest egos in the universe. As some of you experience that. And you're here to calm that down. Not to control it, not to tell it what to do, but to realize there's much more in life than just having, think you know it all. Controller of the universe, many do. And many superpowered, very powerful beings have a lot to learn. I think I learned a lot by being a kindergarten teacher instead of a ruler of a planet. Yes, you'd be surprised how many kindergarten teachers used to be rulers of the planets, and now they finally calm down and teach their knowledge simple things, just to show simplicity is still very important. There's nothing mundane anywhere. On your world, it looks that way, but not at all. Well, they want people to rise to the top. Oh, make as much money, get to the top. And then, of course, when they get there, they're miserable because that's not really what life's about. But, it's part of the journey. But your secret space programs, your path, or your presidential energy. Well, your presidential situation was a teaching society. So it's a waking up of many people at this time of whatever it is that needs to wake them up of. Let's put it that way. Because it is bringing out the true colors of many in your media, etc. So it's like an open wound. And it's showing a lot of things. Maybe not to you, because you've already seen it. You might see something, but it doesn't affect you. But many are just in their awakening state, and this is like, whoa, this is really happening. And what else is out there? Of course, alien energies eventually become part of your society. We send a channeling energy. This is the only way we can communicate. Of course, we can't show our ship just yet. But we are working on it. Yes, your energy level has to be at a certain vibration for aliens to fully show. Now, yes, it's going to be individual contact here and there, yes, but obviously you can't mark your calendar just yet. Blessings.